So 9. I'll take 2. But looking at his girlfriend's despondent face and Harper's contemptuous gaze, Will was determined to find a way. If he left empty-handed, he didn't know how he would face himself, let alone his girlfriend. The commotion had attracted the attention of the other people in the store. They looked at Will with eyes full of disdain and pity. A few broke out in whispers, quietly mocking the poor guy who had lost his reason due to impulsiveness. Hearing the whispering around him, Will clutched the box in his hands tightly. He felt his eyes turning a little red. But just as his helplessness threatened to overwhelm him, a calm voice spoke up from behind him. "I'll buy the phone for you, Will." The voice wasn't loud, but it carried clearly through the quiet store. The crowd turned in shock, and Will turned with them. "Keith!" he yelled in surprise. The two of them had been close in high school. They'd been best friends since 10th grade. But after graduation, they became busy with their own lives and started to drift apart. Keith smiled and nodded. "I owe you $2,000, right? I'd as well pay you back now." "You do?" Will was perplexed, but he stopped talking when he caught the look Keith was giving him. Keith walked over the counter and smiled. "We'll take it." The salesperson looked at the smiling young man. She'd been selling cell phones for a few years now and had seen all kinds of people. Although Keith was dressed in ordinary clothes, he had a certain bearing. She couldn't quite put her finger on what it was, but she knew what it meant. This guy could afford the latest iPhone. The salesperson smiled sweetly and said, "One moment, please. Sir, let me ring that up for you." Keith smiled and nodded, but at that moment, a cold snort came from beside him. "Keith, since when can trailer trash like you afford an iPhone Pro Max? Let me guess, you saved up by not eating for a few months? Have you been eating ramen all year just so you could buy an iPhone? Oh my God, Keith, you're so funny." Keith didn't want to talk to the catty, money grubber cackling away beside him. He smiled at the salesperson instead and said, "Oh, right. I need one for myself, too. Make it 2 in total." "2?" The salesperson widened her eyes and said, "Sir, let me just check I heard you right. You want me to ring up 2 iPhone Pro Max?" It wasn't just the cashier who was surprised. The whispers from the surrounding crowd took on a renewed fervor. "He doesn't look rich. 2 iPhones? That's over $3,000. That ain't his bragging." Keith turned a deaf ear to the whispers and smiled at the salesperson. "That's right. I'm sorry, did I stutter?" "Oh." The cashier knew she'd said the wrong thing and hurriedly apologized. "I'm so sorry, sir. 2 iPhones. I'll ring you up immediately." Harper was furious. She could tell that Keith was purposefully ignoring her. How could she bear to be looked down on by someone she'd always looked down on until now? But she didn't want to make a scene in front of so many people. Suppressing her rage, she sneered and said, "Now, let's see if he can pay for it. Who wants to bet his card gets declined?" Will was nervous. He knew Keith's family background well. Keith's family had even less money than his own. But he knew that Keith was trying to help him out, that he didn't want Will to lose face in front of all these people. That's why Keith had pretended that he owed Will money. Such a loyal friend was rare. Will was touched and worried at the same time. He looked at Keith anxiously. The cashier asked sweetly, "Sir, how will you be paying today?" Keith blinked for a quiet moment before he reacted. He smiled and waved his old phone. "Google Pay." "Okay," the cashier said, and tapped a series of keys on the register. Under the watchful eyes of everyone around him, Keith calmly tapped his phone and paid. before asking about the various functions of his new iPhone. Seeing this, the spectators began to murmur to each other once again. Their previous expressions of contempt had vanished. Maybe money could buy respect after all. Will took the phone from Keith and gave it to his girlfriend with an excited expression. For a moment, Will was lost for words, and he just looked at Keith. He didn't know how to express his gratitude to his old high school friend. On the other side of the pair, Harper had a shocked expression. She'd studied Keith's profile, trying to understand how this broke guy who'd been dumped by Christina could afford not one, but two brand new iPhones. Could it be that she'd misjudged him? Could it be that his family had money stashed away somewhere after all? In Harper's eyes, there was only money. She took a deep breath, calmed herself down, and gave what she thought was her cutest smile. Then she said in a syrupy voice, "Keith, I misunderstood you earlier. There's a high school reunion next month. Do you want to go together?" Keith acted as if he didn't hear her. He didn't react at all. But the crowd noticed the obvious change in her behavior and immediately started discussing it. Will snorted, "Harper, didn't you say earlier that we weren't fit to even be at the reunion? How come you're suddenly inviting us now? Don't tell me. You want Keith to buy you an iPhone too?" But with her true motivations exposed in front of so many people, she was at a loss for words. Her expression turned ugly, and she snapped her mouth shut. At the same time, the system's voice sounded in Keith's mind. "Ding! You fulfilled Will's wish to buy the iPhone Pro Max. Wish value +1. Ding! You fulfilled Will's girlfriend's wish to receive the iPhone Pro Max. Wish value +1. Ding! You've satisfied the wishes of the onlookers. Wish value +1. Ding! You've shattered Harper's wish to mock Will. Attribute point +1. Ding! You've shattered Harper's wish to see you make a fool of yourself. Attribute point +1. Ding! You've shattered Harper's boyfriend's desire. Attribute point +1. Ding! You've shattered Harper's wish to get closer to you. Attribute point +1. Total free distribution attribute points 4. Total current wish value 7 of 10. Adding up the series of notifications, Keith realized he'd obtained 4 attribute points and 3 new wish values. He only needed 3 more wish values before he could make another wish. The residents of Summerfield enjoyed a good show. Keith knew that no matter where he went, there would always be people around to help him add to his wish value and attribute points. Keith was wild with joy in his heart, but he kept a carefree expression on his face. He said to Will, "It's been too long, dude. Let's go for a walk."